Hello, dear fans, friends, and subscribers. Welcome to the daily cricket show of the cricket happenings. And as far as today's show is concerned, as you know, England recently, in a one-day match, biffed England to score the highest ever score in ODI history. And that's precisely what happened today in ODI history as Australia raised the bar as far as T20 cricket is concerned when they put up the highest ever total registered in T20 history. But yes, definitely they didn't break any record, but they definitely now hold a joint record with what happened in the IPL. This is the highest ever total. If you remove the IPL, internationally, Australia have definitely put up the highest score. The previous highest score, which was there in T20 cricket, was 260 runs by Sri Lanka against Kenya in the 2007 World Cup. And so Australia bettered it today by really going on the rampage, especially Glenn Maxwell, who thrashed 145 of just 65 deliveries. And today, the highest total in T20 history was put up as Glenn Maxwell slammed the ball into all parts of the ground of the Sri Lankans. And as I said, the previous highest was 260 by Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka were the ones who had to suffer today as Australia put up 263 for 6. Thus, this is the highest total ever in T20 history. But only one thing I would say, and this is the highest ever total in any T20 match, because the previous, if you look at the stats there, it really tells you what exactly it is. It is Australia 263 for 3 today versus Sri Lanka, and this is a joint record along with what happened in the IPL in 2013, where Royal Challengers put on 263 for 5, 20 overs was the Pune Warriors, and Sri Lanka were the ones who held the record for a long time since 2007 when they put out 260 for 6 against Kenya. So this is the first thing that I would like to talk about. And Glenn Maxwell was also on the verge of another record here because, as you know, Aaron Finch of Australia holds the record in T20 history for the highest individual score of 156, which is scored against England. But Glenn Maxwell actually missed the target by just 11 runs as he finished with an unbeaten 145 to his name, as it was Glenn Maxwell who really made that happen for Australia with his real biffing, coming in and opening the innings after Aaron Finch was ruled out. Maxwell really set the Pallachelli International Cricket Stadium absolutely alight as he went absolutely berserk, one could say. Look at his knock. He was not out. This was his first T20 century, and that too, he was pitchforked as an opener, and he really slammed the ball to all parts of the ground. The Sri Lankan bowlers were left with very little to. He didn't even allow them to actually ponder. Such was his power of his stroke making, as Maxwell smashed an unbeaten 145 of just 65 deliveries with 14 fours and 9 sixes. And this was the first T20 match which was of the series which was played between Australia and Sri Lanka, and Australia duly won the match by 85 runs. So just talking about the game at Pallachelli, the first T20, the toss was actually won by Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka, probably thinking that the ball will nip under the lights, they decided that they would actually insert the Australians in. Well, the Australians definitely started off in very roaring fashion as Glenn Maxwell walked in to open the innings in the company of the captain David Warner. And David Warner was very severe on Senanayake as he sent him for 4 boundaries in a single over. Maxwell actually hit the first 6 with a reverse sweep shot which went over the point boundary for a 6. And after that, David Warner and Maxwell were really pasting the Sri Lankan bowling attack as far as the bowling attack, which started off with the Senanayake, the spinner, but he was slammed for 49 runs. everybody came for some severe tap. Let's have a look at the bowling figures from the Sri Lankans. That will give you an inkling as to how Australia raised the highest T20 score in T20 history. As Sen and Ike 4 overs, 1 for 49. Lakmal 4 overs, went for 51. Kesun Rajita, who actually played in this game, was absolutely taken to the cleaners. His 3 overs cost 46 runs. Tisra Pereira went for 58 of his 4 with 1 wicket. Dhananjay De Silva bowled 1 over 8. But Pathirana, who was making his debut after a good showing in the ODI, winning him a place in the T20, was thrashed to absolutely shreds here. 4 overs, no maiden, 1 for 45 for him. And Pathirana not having a good T20 debut. And as far as the Australian batting was concerned, Glenn Maxwell and Warner started off in a very roaring fashion as they put on 57 runs for the first wicket in 4.5 overs. So basically it tells you that in 29 deliveries they smoked 57 runs. But after that, Warner was the wicket to go, bowled by Senanaike for 28 of 16 deliveries with 5 fours. But Glenn Maxwell was standing there and he started absolutely hammering the Sri Lankan bowlers. Especially, as I said, he hit a reverse. The first 6 that he hit was a reverse sweep shot which went over the point boundary. Usman Khwaja joined him, but Usman Khwaja this time for a change actually got himself into some sort of form here as he contributed 36 of 22 deliveries, 2 fours and 2 sixes. As I said, Usman Khwaja was looking like a spectator there because look at the way Maxwell was playing. Maxwell was flaying the Sri Lankan attack to all parts of the field. And the thing was that he was using the sweep to good effect, the reverse sweep was used to good effect, and he was biffing sixes, dime a dozen, I would say, as things really went absolutely, I would say, awry for Sri Lanka, as Maxwell, who came into this team just coming for this T20 after being not considered for the ODIs, really had a statement to make here with the biffing that he did today. Not out on 145 of just 65 deliveries, 14 fours and 9 sixes embedded into that. As I said, he just missed the mark of Arun Finch by 11 runs. What clean hitting from Maxwell. I mean, one chance was given where Senanaike actually on the boundary ropes, he actually tried to take the catch, but his leg was touching the boundary line, and it was that went for a 6. But after that, it was absolute caning from the Aussies, especially Glenn Maxwell, who caned the Sri Lankan bowlers to the tune of 145 runs of 65 balls with 2. And after Usman Khwaja was the maiden T20 wicket for Pathirana for 36 of 22 balls with 2 fours and 2 sixes. Travis Head, who, as we have seen in the ODIs, has been curbing his natural instinct and trying to play a sort of a sedate fashion. Normally, Travis Head is a very good hitter of the ball. He has his natural instinct to attack, and Glenn Maxwell got a very, very able companion in Travis Head. Travis Head went on to smash 45 of just 18 deliveries, 4 fours and 3 sixes, and finally these Australian innings, thanks to Travis Head, who hit a 6 of the penultimate ball, took them to the highest ever total in T20 history as Australia raised the bar. So it looks like in this year the ODI and the total for ODIs and the T20s, they have really raised the bar here. First it was England, and now Australia doing it to Sri Lanka. 263 for 3 now is the highest score in T20 history, and Glenn Maxwell stood like a colossus there, not out on 145 of just 65 deliveries, 14 fours and 9 sixes, smoked with alacrity and smoked with a great deal of confidence. And as I said, was absolutely clean hitting there from Maxwell. And Maxwell was, what to say? This is something, in T20 cricket, to hit 145 of 65 balls, and that one unbeaten one, was simply breathtaking. So really kudos to Glenn Maxwell for doing this to the Lankans. As far as Sri Lanka were concerned, the target was 264 runs, always going to be very tough. They did not have a good start. They lost the openers pretty early. The first opener to go was Dilshan, who was probably playing his last time in Palakele, and he actually hit one beautiful four through the cover region of the bowling of Mad, but Stark actually nipped him by actually forcing him to chop onto the stumps. He was gone for four. He was actually aiming, it was a straight delivery. He was trying to aim it through the mid-wicket region, and he lost his stumps. He was gone for four. Kushal Pereira was out for four to the bowling of Bolland. So the openers were in the hut at 15 for 2. After that, Dhananjay De Silva could not do much. He was clean bowled by Faulkner for 12 of 8, Delvis 1-4, which made it 45 for 3. And then there was a brief resistance coming in from Mendes, who made 22 of 13, 2 fours and 2 sixes. But they definitely required somebody to play in the Glenn Maxwell vein, which never happened. Chandimal, the captain, was the highest scorer with 58 of 43 balls, 6 fours and 1 6. And then Pereira making 7 runs, but Kapugadra tried to do a bit of biffing as he made 43 of 25. Elvis 3 fours and 3 sixes. It was always the result was always written once Australia raised the highest ever score in T20 history. Senanaik was not on 6, Lakmal was out for 1, Rajita was not on a knot, and the Sri Lankan innings in the chase were restricted to 178 for 9 by the Aussies, and thus Australia actually starting off in a nice manner in the T20, starting off with a bang, I would say, in the T20 series, 2-match T20 series, winning the match by 85 runs. And as far as the bowling was concerned, the bowling from Mitchell Stark and Scott Boland was absolutely on the mark. 4 overs, no maiden, 3 for 26. Both had identical bowling figures. Faulkner 4 overs, 1 for 38. Enriquez 4 overs, 2 overs for 24 and 1 wicket. Adam Zampa bowling 4 overs, 1 for 27. Bowled superbly, I thought. Maxwell 2 overs, none for 21. And Australia leading the 2-match series 1-0. With Glenn Maxwell taking away the man of the match. And why not? I mean, this is something, a capital innings that Glenn Maxwell has played. This innings will be remembered from Glenn Maxwell for a long time in Sri Lanka, for sure. So that is as far as that particular game was concerned. Now have a look at some cricket news here. As far as cricket news is concerned, just talking about the cricket news, Jimmy Neesham, as India, as you know, New Zealand are going to be in India. They are going to go for a 3-test tour there. And New Zealand have never won against India in India, so that is something that they would be wanting to do. But we know that one knows that India, especially on their home turf, are like real tigers. But as far as the tour composition is concerned, Jimmy Neesham has won a place for the Indian Test tour here. Kane Williamson, captain, Trent Bolt, Doug Bracewell, Mark Craig. They also packed it with a lot of spinners. As you know, these spinners did a good job in the T20 World Cup as they brought about the demise of the Indians in the T20 World Cup by giving them a real jolt in the first match, the curtain raiser of the T20 World Cup. So Mark Craig, the right-arm off spinner, they have Mitchell Santner, and they also have East Sodhi, right-arm leg spinner. Mitchell Santner and East Sodhi were the ones who did the immense damage in the T20 World Cup, as you would remember. And Martin Guptill, Tom Latham. Jimmy Neesham is the one who has made it back to the New Zealand side. Henry Nichols, who is a talented bloke. Luke Ronke, Mitchell Sanders, Sodhi, Tim Southey, Ross Taylor, Neil Wagner, and BJ Watling. So it's a nice little competition, and I think this New Zealand outfit is a very, very competitive outfit, no doubt about it. The first test starts in Kanpur beginning on the 22nd of September, and then we have 2 more tests which will be played in Kolkata and Indore. So that is some news that I wanted to talk about, but there is no place for the pace bowler Matt Henry. They have been dropped. Matt Henry and batsman G. Travel, the youngster, has been dropped from this particular squad. And as far as other news is concerned, also South Africa have actually picked up their squad for the ODIs against Australia, and we see that there is a new bloke by the name of Felukwayo who has actually made it to the South African side. I'm told he's a very good pace bowler, and probably one would probably say that he's probably in the same vein as Kagiso Rabada. So that is as far as that particular news is concerned. Other than that, as I said, today the day was definitely dominated by Australia. And some news which is coming in is that, as you know, we know that Mudassar Bukhari, who actually plays for Netherlands, has been playing for a long time. He has been doing some very good service for the Netherlands. Has announced his retirement from both the 4-day Cup, Intercontinental Cup cricket, and also ODI cricket. He has decided that he would be retiring. And also, there is one good news for Nepal. There is, as you know, Michael Clarke was there in Nepal this time to actually train them. And Michael Clarke has had written the Australian former captain and batsman had written a letter to the Nepal Cricket Board, and he has called over Lamichhane as a right arm leg spinner, Sandeep Lamichhane. I was pretty impressed by him, and Clarke has actually got him to actually come over down to Australia and actually play in the Clarke Academy there. So he feels that there is something special in this bloke, Lamichhane, the leg spinner, and Clarke. So that's a great honor for Sandeep Lamichhane in Nepal, one could say. Well, other than that, we have tomorrow, there's a solitary T20 match which is coming up between Pakistan and England, which will actually bring the curtain down on this Pakistan tour of England. So that is something which is coming up. Well, dear fan subscribers, that really that's about it as far as today's show is concerned. But as I said, this cricket show basically it was all about Australia raising their highest ever total in T20 history, and also Glenn Maxwell, absolute salute for him for slamming 145 unbeaten runs of just 65 deliveries with 14 fours and 9 sixes, and literally, I mean, pulling the game, literally allowing Sri Lanka absolutely no foot in the door in the first T20 match. Well, dear fan subscribers, I hope you all loved this cricket broadcast of mine. There will be more to come tomorrow on my next cricket broadcast. Till such time that happens, it's good night from Host Ram Studios. Thank you.